We are Zooming again today, and we have with us Paige Cox, who is the co-founder and executive director of Reconsidered Goods. Hello, great to see you.
Oh, great to see you.
So, something really interesting happened with you and your community when we all went home. Everybody went home, and the store was closed, but you were busier than ever in some ways.
Yeah, so we closed, I believe it was March 17th was our last day in the store, and kind of went home and did what everybody did, where you go to the grocery store. I think I had one day that I was off that I worked in the yard. And then I started to realize that we had a lot of the supplies at the store that we could use for making masks. So I basically went to the store the first few days we were closed and just started grabbing everything I could think of. We had elastic, we had cottons, we had sewing machines. I took all those materials back to my house and basically set up shop, because we were, as soon as we closed, we started getting messages and people were like, we need to get to the store, we need thread, we need sewing machines, we need cottons, and we weren't going to be open. So we just said, we're just going to give this to the community. This was at the point where we knew what was coming. Everything was happening in New York, and we knew that we needed to be prepared with masks. So people were ready to go, and it was kind of frantic and exciting. So we set all the materials out on my front porch. I live over in Westerwood, and people started coming by at the porch, and we had it all for free. You could take what you needed. We had some wonderful people that hooked us up with some elastic from some of the local elastic companies. They donated huge spools of elastic for us. So we had that going for a little while, and it saw lots of familiar faces out on the porch. Everybody was already wearing a mask, but they were making them for free for the community.
And not just our community, they were being sent all over the country.
Yes, so that was when we started with the masks, and we ended up hooking up with Goodwill. They started a Masks for Heroes program because it started to get a little too much for my front porch, and we were starting to run out of supplies. So we decided to kind of take it to the next level, and we hooked up with them and got a whole bunch of really great sewers from the community, and started a program where it was all very distanced, and you could pick up kits and make things, and we had a system of who would get the mask. A lot of them were going straight to hospitals, hospice, places that needed them really bad, not just individuals. But in the meantime, I met someone from Cone who sent me a tutorial on how to make a face shield. It was from a John Hopkins video. And I was like, oh, I have this stuff too at the store. And basically it was overhead projector sheets, some elastic and staples. That was all it was, and some foam. So we made a few mock-ups for them, and the CDC got to see them and said this was going to work. This is when we had nothing. So everybody was kind of in a panic, and we were like, let's make these for now, and then hopefully something better will come along. So I made 2,000 for Cone, and the masks were still going as well. So we started doing the Shield program after that, which was very exciting. Yeah.
Do you have any idea how many masks and shields, well, first that you personally made, and then expand that out with all of the fans of Reconsider Goods and friends who kind of just joined into the effort?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw our total for the cotton sewn mask through the Masks for Heroes program. I think was 6,000 were distributed in the community. I think that's starting to phase out, and people mostly have what they need. There's still tons of makers. The face shields, we ended up right around 12,000. That was just the Greensboro division. So what we did was we started what was called the People Brigade, and it was PPE, capital PPE, People Brigade. And it was basically people like me that could make these shields in their homes. So we started making kits. So the people that didn't sew could come and make shields, and we started hanging them on my fence, and they would come and make the shields at home and return them back onto the fence. So there was no contact. It was very safe, but we were able to crank out a ton of shields for that with that program. And so we started a Facebook group, and we had a lot of other People Brigade groups start in different cities. My sister's in Chapel Hill. She started one. There's a Raleigh group. I'm pretty sure we have one in Nashville and a couple in Texas. I haven't heard the latest, but those places were also doing the kind of volume that we were doing. So it just started out as a little Greensboro idea, and once we got a system down and we had our list of what you needed and instructions, just the community came out all over the place, and we were able to mass produce these kind of primitive face shields.
That is amazing. What did this do for your spirit?
It was those first dark days of stay at home where we were all really scared. And I think it was one of those things between the sewers and the non-sewers, we needed something to grab onto. And I think people really, really wanted to help, but we were also petrified to leave our houses. So this was a great way for people to reach out, help the community, know that they were doing what was needed. So I think it was as much for our mental health as it was for the physical health of the people that were going to receive these things.
Absolutely. So you were able to reopen Reconsidered Goods in a different way in June, right?
Yes. So we started out opening an online store. We did that for a little while. And then we did appointment-only shopping, which worked out really well because what we wanted to do was preserve the experience you have at Reconsidered Goods. We had the music going. We had a limited number of people in the floor, so you felt safe. There was lots of social distancing. So the appointments were nice that way because everybody was just starting to ease out from the stay-at-home order, and we were moving into phase 2, but people were really still cautious. So it was a good way to say we have control over this situation and who's coming in this building. So we did appointments for a few weeks, and then we've recently opened our doors and just do a head count as people come in. Masks are required, but it feels very safe. We have glass partitions at the register. We ask people to call out their prices so we're not touching their items. And people are still able to have that Reconsidered Goods experience and kind of walk around and just lose themselves a little bit in some retail therapy and have some good music. And the only difference is you're wearing a mask, but you still see a lot of the same familiar faces.
And you have that creative outlet that I think people have been itching for so much during this time too, and maybe discovering inside themselves that they didn't know was there.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about this experience is seeing people bake bread and learn to sew. I had people buying sewing machines off of my front porch. I delivered one to a girl who didn't have a car. She was living with her family, and she was a teenager, and she was spending her own money on a sewing machine to learn to make masks. So there was some really cool stories that came out of this whole experience of people that were trying new things and having experiences, even though we were all stuck in our houses.
Well, now Reconsidered Goods, your storefront is closing, but it's not going to stay closed, right? Correct.
So we are at a point where we've always thought we would like to grow and be a little bigger, but we were way too lazy to move. But now that we're here at our 4th summer of the heat and we're wearing masks, it seemed like a perfect time to take the plunge and to find a building that has air conditioning and fix a few of the other problems we have with our building and be able to grow a little bit more. And also, we're going to set up the floor for our new normal with better social distancing. Our store is pretty packed. There's a lot of dead ends, and it's really hard to fix that problem. So with the new floor plan, we'll have all of that in mind to keep our customers and our staff safe.
And when will you be opening in your new location?
We're hoping to narrow down our building in the next few weeks, and then we're going to take a pause. We're calling it a summer sabbatical, we're going to regroup and get our energy back for the big move. And then we're looking to open September, October, we hope. October will be our 5th anniversary.
So for those who aren't familiar with Reconsidered Goods and hadn't visited before, I mean, everything in there is donated, right? And you can get out of the landfills and repurpose it for mostly creative outlets, but people find all kinds of uses for things in your store.
Yeah, and I think once we reopened, we did take donations for a little while, and we also found that everybody cleaned out while they were home. So we got overwhelmed really quickly with stuff and had to hold off on donations. But once we reopen, we will be completely ready for new stuff. But it's exciting for people, I think, that want to pass on things. I think especially since we were staying at home and you're kind of stuck in your own walls of your home, you start to evaluate what you need and what you don't need. And when you don't have opportunity to go buy new stuff, it does make you look at the things you have and do I really need this? So we're excited to see what people have for us on the flip side of this. when we have a new building, because it means there are things that they thought we would like to have as a donation. So I think that'll be a great way to launch for our grand opening, is to get all of these stay-at-home order donations.
Well, Paige, thank you so much for everything that you and your team have done for our community, for communities around the country, and really to just help us feel inspired and creative during this time. And we really look forward to your reopening.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And you can follow her on Facebook or Instagram. It's at Reconsidered Goods. You'll get all the details on when and where they are reopening. So be sure to keep in touch with them that way.